Shalom, 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 family. How are you all? I pray all is well. Sister Chantel here, of course. So I don't normally like record these videos specifically for YouTube, but the Most High told me I had to. So here we are. So first of all, I do want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel, who does come to listen, to comment, to learn. I really appreciate it. If you're new, welcome to my little corner. So Most High had given me this teaching because there is a bit of confusion when it comes to if all of Yasharal is leaving or not. There's two scriptures in particular that continuously comes up when this subject happens. The subject is, it comes up or whatever. So he wanted me to clarify. One thing I do want to say is we do have to remember to not lean on our own understanding. Yes, I know, a lot of us came out of Christianity or other religions, so we learned the ways of those religions, but we have to ask the Most High YAH to give us His wisdom, His understanding, His knowledge, His counsel, His revelations, because this is His story, and He wrote it. That's another teaching I have to do. I'm gonna try to get it done. I know. Listen, it's March 4th. We don't have much time yet. I mean, left. Like next month, we up out of here. Okay, so I'm gonna really try to get some of this stuff done. It's a lot sometimes because we have Bible studies twice a week. We got the kids. It's a lot, but I'm gonna try. But if you go and you read Isaiah, I think it's Isaiah 11, it talks about the seven spirits that sits at the throne. So the spirit of wisdom, spirit of knowledge, the spirit of understanding, and counsel. Those are four of the spirits that do sit at the throne, and you want him to put those spirits on you so that you have his understanding, and he will sit you down, because a lot of the same ways of thinking that a lot of my brothers and sisters have, I used to have that too. I used to be strong in the, oh yeah, everyone's leaving, even though I knew he said just a third, but when he sat me down and he gave me his understanding and his revelation, I was like, oh, I'm a hush, because you wrote this, so you know what you mean. Like, clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. And so I just pray that you take this teaching, take this video, you actually listen to it, take it back to the Most High YAH, fast, pray on it, let him guide you, let him show you, because he will do that. He doesn't want, like Paul said, he don't want us to be ignorant, and we're not ignorant. So he wants to make sure that we understand this word, his word, right? All right, so I'm gonna get into it. So I'm going to first start with Romans chapter 11, verse 26. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that you guys are following me. I'm gonna share the entire screen. That way I don't have to keep going back and forth. All right, now let me just try to get it where it's, I don't like that. There we go. As big as possible. So those of you who have been following me on TikTok, y'all know that I use the Hallelujah scriptures. But of course online there we can't read the Hallelujah scriptures online, so I use these scriptures, the 2009 version of the word. It's more so translated from properly from the ancient text. It doesn't have all the extra fluff, and I love it. So getting into this, so Romans 11 and 26. So it says, and all, oh, I can't even read. Sorry, y'all. And so all Yasharal shall be saved, as it has been written. The deliverer shall come out of Zion, and he shall turn away wickedness from Jacob. And this is my covenant with them when I take away their sins. So a lot of people take, so all Yasharal will be saved. It is not what y'all are thinking. Okay, we are going to break this thing down. So first of all, we have to remember the book of Romans, the book of Ephesians, Galatians. Like Paul, he was teaching to Gentile nations. Romans was specifically to Rome. So he is teaching to them, he's telling to them how they're going to cleave in and what's going to happen. So we have to first understand that, okay? And when it says all of Yasharal shall be saved, it's talking about bloodline Yasharal and the Gentiles that are cleaving to us, okay? It's not talking about all of bloodline Yasharal. All of bloodline Yasharal will not be saved. The Most High YAH has said that several times. He has told several prophets that it is in his word. It's not going to be saved, okay? All of it is not going to be saved. So we are going to kind of take it back, because you have to use all the scriptures to really understand what it is that he's saying. You can't just look at one verse and assume that's what he means, because it's line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Like, you got to use his word to define what he's saying. And remember, they tainted so much, so he had to leave breadcrumbs throughout his word. They couldn't take everything out, otherwise the Bible wouldn't make sense. So he had to leave breadcrumbs out the word, so we wouldn't know what he's talking about. All right, so we're gonna jump to chapter 1. Here, still in Romans. So Paul, a servant of Yahushua HaMashiach, a called emissary or called apostle, that's what that word means. Sorry, y'all. Separated to the good news of Elohim, which he promised before through his prophets in the Kadesh scriptures, concerning his son, who came in the seed of David according to his flesh, who was designated Son of Yahuwah with power, according to the Ruach HaKodesh, by the resurrection from the dead, Yahushua HaMashiach, the master of us, through whom we have received favor and office of the emissary for belief, obedience. Make sure I'm following up here. For belief, obedience among all the nations on behalf of his name, among whom you also are the called ones of Yahushua HaMashiach. So, stopping for a quick second, specifically here, verses 5 and 6. For belief, obedience among all nations on behalf of his name, among whom you, remember he's talking to a Gentile nation, you are also called, you also are, the called ones of Yahushua HaMashiach. So he's telling us here that just as we, have become apostles or disciples or just taught ones, out here spreading the word, spreading the good news, being obedient. So just as we have received favor through our belief, obedience, so shall the Gentile nations, through their belief, obedience, they will also be called one of Yahushua's. Okay, so that's that, right? Because it has to be through belief. It can't just be, oh, I said I'm a cleave in. Nah, he gonna look at your heart. You got to be following the commandments, the laws, coming into his covenant. You gotta keeping the Shabbat, not eating the abominable foods. Like, he gonna look at all of that. You gotta believe in Yahusha. You can't come to the Father without the Son. So even if you're not a Gentile, you one of Yasharal, and you saying there is no need for the Son, you already in error, because you cannot get to Father YAHUAH Abiyah without going through his son Yahusha. All right, so let's jump down to verse 16. For I am not ashamed of the good news of Mashiach, for it is the power of Elohim for deliverance to everyone who believes, to the Yehudi first, and also to the Greek. Or you can also say also to the Gentiles, the other nations. Okay, so right now it specifically says Greek here because, again, he's talking to the Romans, but this is to the Gentiles, right? All right, so Yasharal receives redemption and deliverance first because we are his firstborn. He tells us this, I think it's back in Amos. I might be off, but we are his firstborn. But the other nations, the Gentiles, are in line after those of us who get it. I want to make sure I tell y'all the right scripture when I said about the firstborn. Okay, firstborn, Hosea 11 and 1. All right. So let me just read it real quick, because I don't be liking nobody to say, that ain't what that said. I'll be trying to quote my father's scriptures as correctly as possible. I don't want to add nothing. I don't want to take nothing out. All right, so Hosea 11:1 says, when Yasharal was a child, I loved him, and out of Mizraim I called my son. Oh, wait, that's not the one I wanted. Hold on. I think it's in, it is, but he did call his son, so we are his. Exodus 4. Exodus 4. All right, here it is. All right, Exodus 4:22 and 23. Well, 22. And you shall say to Pharaoh, thus say Yahuwah, Yasharal is my son, my firstborn. I'll read 23 also. So I say to you, let my son go to serve me. But if you refuse to let him go, see, I am killing your son, your firstborn. So we are his firstborn, okay? All right, moving forward. We are going to jump down to, I'm gonna just keep reading this. I'm gonna keep reading this. All right, so that's verse 16. All right, so for in the righteousness of Elohim it is revealed from belief to belief, as it has been written, but the righteous shall live by belief. I know some versions will say faith. Faith and belief literally are the same thing. For the wrath of Elohim is revealed from heaven against all wickedness and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. um because that which is known of Elohim is manifest among them, for Elohim has manifested it to them. For since for since the creation of the world, his invisible qualities have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, both his everlasting power and mightiness, for them to be without excuse. All right. Um, Jumping down, because although they knew Elohim, they did not esteem him as Elohim, nor gave thanks, but became vain in their reasonings, and their undiscerning hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools and changed the esteem of the incorruptible Elohim into the likeness of an image of corruptible man, and of birds, and of four-footed beasts, and of reptiles. Therefore Elohim gave them up to uncleanliness in the lust of their hearts, to disrespect their bodies among themselves, who changed the truth of Elohim into the falsehood, and worshipped and served what was created rather than the Creator, who was blessed forever. Hallelujah. I'm gonna keep going. Because of this, Elohim gave them over to degrading passions, for even their women exchanged natural relations for what is against nature. And likewise, the men also, having left natural relations with women, burned in their lust for one another, men with men, committing indecency and receiving back the reward which was due for their straying. Homosexuality, can't be doing that. And even as they did not think it worthwhile to possess the knowledge of Elohim, Elohim gave them over to a worthless mind, and to do what is improper, having been filled with all unrighteousness, whoring, wickedness, greed, evil, filled with envy, murder, fighting, deceits, evil habits, whispers, slanders, haters of Elohim, insolent, proud, boasters, devisers of evil, disobedient to parents, without discernment, covenant breakers, unloving, unforgiving, ruthless, who, though they know the righteousness of Elohim, that those who practice such deserve death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. All right. So, stopping for just a quick second. No, let me jump down also to chapter 2, verse 3. And do you think, oh man, you who judge those practicing such wrongs and doing the same, that you shall escape the judgment of Elohim? Okay. So, those of you who believe that all of Yasharal is coming, and he's going to just purge in the wilderness, do you really think, after all of this stuff I just read here, at the end of chapter 1, all of these different sins, and of course, it's even more than this, because they're not going to list every little thing. You can look up these words and see what sins fall under the definitions of these words, right? So do you really think that he's going to take these that have no intention of doing his will, the disobedient to him and his commandments? You think he's going to say, okay, all y'all, come on, let's go on the second Exodus. I'm going to just purge y'all in the wilderness? Absolutely not. He's doing a new thing this time. He is not. He don't have time for the stiff-necked people. He don't have time for those who don't actually want relationship with him, who don't want to be obedient, who who is out here just doing whatever they want to do. He's not doing that this time around. And a lot of people don't understand that the first Exodus was just in Egypt and Pathros. It was in one area. This Exodus is across the entire earth. He don't have 40 years. Like I was just explaining to someone, and one of the elderly sisters actually, brought this to me and helped me to realize this. He don't have 40 years this time to allow you to get it right, or for you to, just keep doing what you want to do. Like, we got 3.5 years. When we leave, this is the second half of the Exodus, okay? Not the Exodus, the second half of the tribulation period. Once we leave, he not doing anyway. He ain't got time for he's not taking all of Yasharal. Do you think it's fair for those of us who's been seeking and and running after him and trying to get people to wake up? You really think he's going to allow us to go through the second Exodus and just bring those who've been naysayers and living how they want to, and for them to tag along? No, this is our reward. This is our testimony we're about to be going through. There's going to be books written. Like, come on, y'all. All right, I'm gonna keep reading verses 5 through 11 still in chapter 2. In chapter 2, right? Yeah. All right. So, but according to your hardness, let me read it out of here real quick though, because I got some things in here. So, but according to your hardness and your unrepentant heart, you are treasuring up for yourself wrath in the day of wrath and revelation of the righteous judgment of Elohim, who shall render to each one according to his works. Everlasting life to those who seek. I'm sorry, everlasting life to those who by persistence and good work seek for esteem. And esteem is glory. If I didn't say it before, I do apologize. Esteem just means glory. So everlasting life to those who by persistence and good works seek for esteem and respects and incorruptibility, but wrath and displeasure to those who are self-seeking and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness, affliction and distress on every human being, what is working what is evil, of the Yehudi first, and also of the Yawanite or the Greek or Gentiles. But esteem, respect, and peace to everyone working what is good, to the Yehudi first, and also to the Greek. Mine said Yawanite. For there is no partiality with Elohim. Okay, so again, he said, wrath and displeasure. Okay, affliction and distress on every human being. Don't you think that the 2/3 of Israel that's not going to make it? Don't you think they're part of every human being? He's not. I'm telling y'all, he is not taking everybody. Please get it right now. All right. So his day of wrath and judgment is for Yasharal too. He says it to the Yehudi first. We get judged first. We get saved first. We get we first, and then to the Gentile nations. Okay. I'm gonna jump down to verse 14. Verse 14. All right. So, for when Gentiles who do not have the Torah by nature do what is in the Torah, although not having the Torah, they are a Torah to themselves. Okay. Meaning Gentiles who follow the Torah, they doing what they're supposed to do. They gonna be cleaved into. Okay, they're following, just like how with us, that we're following the Torah, we're doing all that is in the Torah. We become the living Torah because we are doing everything that we're supposed to, all of his laws, and it's the same for them. Okay, verse 17. See, you are called a Yehudi, and See, you are called a Yehudi, and rest on the Torah and make your boast in Elohim. So again, this is him joining the Gentile nations into Yasharal, because they are again up here for when nations, Gentiles, so for when nations who do not have the Torah by nature, because it was for us. Remember, this was for us. It was always supposed to be for Yasharal. We messed up. We fornicated. We whored after other religions and other gods. Okay, so this is why he then allowed the opening up to the Gentiles, right? So they didn't have it by nature. Oh, okay. So, but they, so for when nations who do not have the Torah by nature do what is in the Torah, although not having the Torah, they are a Torah to themselves. See, you are called a Yehudi and rest on the Torah and make your boast in Elohim. They become a part of Yasharal. Yes, before I know somebody gonna say, oh, but they're gonna be servants. Yes, they are, because he did say those who took captive will become captive. They are definitely going to come to us in servitude. They're gonna have to provide their servitude to us, because the recompense is coming. Yes, but however, they are still the Most High children. He told me and my sister this on our Bible. We have Bible studies twice a week, like I said earlier. He told us this on our Bible study line, because we had to present some things to our members. He said they are mine too. They are his children too. We are his firstborn. So if he says they're my firstborn, don't you think that means he would have a secondborn, like more? Okay. All right. So let's keep going. So we're going to jump down to chapter 9, still in Romans. All right, Romans chapter 9. Let me flip over here. Chapter 9, jump down to verse 6. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So verse 6. All right. However, it is not as though the word of Yahuwah has failed, for they are not all Yasharal who are of Yasharal. Okay, excuse me. He is telling us again, not all Yasharal are called because of their sin and obedience to the law and the commandments. Precept for that, Hosea chapter 2, verse 23. I'm really bad about not having my Bible marked, just so I can just flip to these pages, but it's all right. All right, so not all Yasharal are called, because Yasharal are not all Yasharal are called Yasharal. I couldn't get it out. I'm sorry, y'all. Not all Yasharal are called Yasharal because of their sin or disobedience to the law and commands. That's why he opened it up to allow those who were not, like you just said, did not have Torah by nature, are not Yasharal by bloodline. They are who's joining in, right? So Hosea chapter 2, verse 23, and I shall sow her for myself in the earth, and I shall have compassion on her who had not obtained compassion. I didn't even turn to it up here. I'm sorry. Let me go up here. That way y'all following along. Although you should have your Bibles, but it's all right. Hosea 2:23. So, and I shall sow for her myself in the earth, and I shall have compassion on her who had not obtained compassion, and I shall say to those who were not my people, you are my people, while they say my Elohim. Okay, this is talking about the Gentile nations that's going to be cleaving in to Yasharal. All right. Let's go back to Romans 9. We're going to jump down to verses 25 to 28. Okay, 25. All right. Oh, matter of fact, this is just what we just read. All right, boom. All right, so 25 to 28, and he says in Hosea, I shall call them my people who were not my people, and her beloved who was not my beloved. And it shall be in the place where it was said to them, you are not my people. There they shall be called sons of the living Elohim. And Yeshayahu, that's Isaiah, cries out on behalf of Yasharal, saying, the number of the children of Yasharal be as the sand of the sea. The remnant shall be saved. For he is bringing a matter to an end and is cutting it short in righteousness, because Yahuwah shall cut short a matter on the earth. Okay? So the matter that he is cutting short are the rebellious and the disobedient. All right? Let's jump over to Isaiah chapter 10. Let me put a pin in this. I ain't gonna keep flipping it like that. Isaiah chapter 10. I'm still fighting this cold, y'all. Isaiah chapter 10. I'm gonna read verses 15 through 22. All right. 15 through 22. This is going in about the remnant, because again, not all Yasharal will be saved. I'm gonna have to keep saying it so y'all really understand this, okay? So would the axe boast itself over him who chops with it, or the saw exalt itself over him who saws with it? As a rod waving those who lift it up, as a staff lifting up that which is not wood. Therefore, the master Yahuwah of hosts sends leanness among his fat ones, and under his esteem he kindles a burning like the burning of a fire. And the light, capital light, that's Yahusha, the light of Yasharal shall be for a fire, and his Kadesh one for a flame. And it shall burn and devour his weeds and his thorn bushes in one day. Don't this sound like the wheats and the tares it's talked about in Matthew? Oh, okay. And consumes the esteem, that's the glory, of his forest and of his fertile field, both life and flesh. And they shall be as when a sick man wastes away. And the remaining trees in his forest shall be so few in number that a child records them. Okay. And in that day it shall be that the remnant of Israel, of Yasharal, and those who have escaped of the house of Jacob never again lean upon him who smote them, but shall lean upon Yahuwah, the Kadesh one of Israel, in truth, of Yasharal in truth. A remnant shall return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty Yah. For though your people, O Yasharal, be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return, a decisive end, overflowing with righteousness. Okay. I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of or followed Sister Bubbles. Her YouTube channel is Hebrew Israelites Meet. One of her videos she recently did, I just love listening to her. She's so animated, and I love it. I love it. But she's an amazing teacher, of y'all and everything. Amazing sister. And one of her videos, she said that the 2/3 of that the 2/3 are is Satan's number. All right, because what you get when you divide 2 divided by 3. 2 divided by 3 is what? 2 divided by 3. There we go. Is 0.666, right? That's Hasatan's number. The Most High YAH are not taking those who are working with Hasatan, who are doing his bidding, sinning, living how he desires y'all to live, people to live. Like, he is not taking them. Why would he take people who are not living for him? This time is different than the first time, y'all. This is end times. He is the Most High YAH is not playing that. We've had time to get it right. The same way, regardless of if you woke up 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I came to the truth early. Matter of fact, a year ago, this time last year, my sister and I came to this truth. And the Most High YAH, he just poured all this knowledge into us. And I'm so thankful for that. Make sure you always fall on your face and stay humble before him when he does this. We've been in church all our lives since we were babies. We was in church. So we had that Christianity doctrine in us heavy, okay? So it was a lot that we had to unlearn and to relearn, but we have to get this into us. Only a third, only a remnant. He's not doing that this time around. All right, let's go back to Romans. Romans chapter 10 this time. Romans, where am I at? Romans chapter 10. All right, Romans chapter 10, going down to the 12th verse. Okay, so he says, because there is no distinction between Yehudi and Yahwanite, or Greek or Gentile. I don't know why this keep popping up. I don't like that. All right. So there is no distinction between Yehudi and Yahwanite, for the same master of all is rich to all those calling upon him. There is no distinction between the Yehudi and the Greek, because we are all working in one body when we are believing in the Son Yahusha, and we are being obedient to the Torah. We are all in one body, okay? Let's jump down to Romans chapter still 10 to verse starting 19. All right, and this is we about to get into how the Gentiles are able to cleave, how they become a part of Yasharal. All right. 19. Okay. So, and it says, but I ask, did Yasharal not know? First, Moshe says, I shall provoke you to jealousy by those who are not a nation. I shall enrage you by an unwise nation. And Yeshayahu, Isaiah, boldly says, I was found by those not seeking me. I was made manifest to those not asking for me. Talking about the Gentile nations. Because remember, we weren't studying him. We was out here worshiping golden calves and putting up tables for many and all of these other gods and stuff. So serving Baal. We weren't checking for the Most High YAH. Okay, so he went to allow the Gentiles to come and check for him, right? 21. And to Yasharal, he says, all day long, I have stretched out my hands to a disobedient and back talking people. Y'all. All right, come on. We're going to keep going. Chapter 11. Picking up at first verse. I say then, has Elohim rejected his people? Let it not be. For I, this is Paul saying this now, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham of the tribe of Benjamin. Okay. Elohim has not rejected his people whom he knew beforehand. Or do you not know what the scripture says of Elijah? That's Elijah, Eliyahu. It's getting on my nerves. All right. So of Elijah, how he pleads with Yahuwah against Yasharal, saying, Yahuwah, they have killed your prophets and overthrown your altars, and I alone am left, and they seek my life. but what but what does the answer of Yahuwah say to him? I have left for myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to Baal, however you want to say it. So therefore, at this present time, a remnant, according to the choice of favor, has come to be. Okay. And if by favor, it is no longer of works. Otherwise, favor is no longer favor. And if it is of works, it is no longer works. Otherwise, work is no longer work. I'm gonna pause it for a second just to break that down. It's favor and not of works, because there's a scripture where he tells us it's not works, that way we don't boast. All right, because we don't want to be prideful saying, oh yeah, well, I've been preaching to these people. I got, a million followers and subscribers. I've been preaching to them, and I got this, over here, and I've been doing this, or I've been helping out with it. Like, it's not about you. It is about your works. Now I ain't gonna sit here and say it's not, because still he talks about the talents in Matthew. What's that, Matthew 25? So it is, you got to do your work. Still do your work, because you want to get out something, because the more you do, you're gonna be rewarded in the new kingdom, right? I'm trying to have all my palaces, all my animals, all of my servants, and all of that. But he's not letting us come in based on our works. He's doing it based on favor, who he favors. Because remember, you can do all of this stuff, and he gonna say it. He says it, back in Matthew. He said, "Haven't not everyone that says, Master, Master, haven't I cast out devils in your name?" And this, at the third, basically saying their works, saying they can get in. He ain't letting it go down like that. He's favoring that way. You can't be boastful and thinking because you're doing all of this great stuff, you getting in. Yes. Okay, I'm coming. All right, so let's continue. Verse 7. What then? Yasharal has not obtained what it seeks, but the chosen did obtain it, and the rest were hardened. Okay, so right there, he's telling us there is a chosen who did obtain what it is that we seek, right? We seeking after the Most High YAH. We seeking after his kingdom, after his face, not his hand, but his face, getting to know him, having a relationship with him, right? But then there is some that's hardened. He hardened some. Okay, you, and like I tell the members on our group Bible study, we are literally chosen. Okay, he knew who was going to do his will. At the end of the day, the Most High YAH sits out of eternity. I'm gonna pause here for 1 second. He sits outside of time in eternity. Okay, let me move this so I can try to give me 1 second. I'm coming. Go ahead, I'm coming. Okay, so let's pretend this little highlighter here is time. All right, let's pretend where I'm sitting at, I'm representing the Most High YAH. Okay, I'm sitting in eternity as y'all sits in eternity, looking down at this timeline, sitting outside. Everything in this book, everything in this Bible, everything in this Apocrypha, everything that they have taken out of it, that they got in the Vatican vaults, everything about your life, my life, your kids' life, everything he has already written down in eternity. It's already been written down in eternity. It manifested in time on this timeline. Okay, he knew who was going to be chosen. He knows who his 1/3 is, just like he knows who the chosen remnant is of the Gentiles. He knew who was going to hearken to the call and yield to him and not reject him and serve him with his whole heart. He knew that. Okay, and those 2/3 that he knew, they're gonna be playing, they're gonna be faking and shaking. Who like to say, I think Sister Bubbles like to say that too, faking and shaking. He knew. So guess what, he hardened their hearts. Okay, he's not playing that with them. Let me pause for 1 second. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. So he already knew all of this. All of this was already predestined. Okay, so we're gonna jump down to verse 16. I ain't gonna read this whole chapter to y'all. Y'all can sit down and read it on your own. Ask him to really break these things down to you. All right. So verse 16. You up? Maybe. All right. So now it is the first fruit. I'm sorry. Now, if the first fruit is Kadesh, the lump is also. And if the root is Kadesh, so are the branches. And if some of the branches were broken off, and you, being a wild olive tree, again, that's the Gentile nation. Uh-oh, I forgot to share the screen back, y'all. I'm sorry. All right. We still in Romans chapter 10. 11. We just jumped down to the 16 verse. So I'm in 17. So and you, being a wild olive tree, have been grafted in among them and came to share the root and fatness of the olive tree. Do not boast against the branches. And if you boast, you do not bear the root, but the root you. Okay. You shall say, then the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Good. By unbelief, they were broken off, and you stand by belief. Do not be arrogant, but revere. For if Elohim did not spare the natural branches, he might not spare you either. If he don't spare if he did not spare the natural branches, what is that telling y'all? Everybody is not going, okay? He's telling us all throughout scripture. We just have to see it. We have to let go of our own understanding and what we want. Yes, I get it. We all want all of our family members to make it, but in reality, everybody's not gonna make it, and we have to allow him to help us with that. Um, One thing that I'm pausing here for a second, but one thing that I tell people that I do is I've been asking him, cut my emotions off. Please cut the emotions off, because I don't want to be like Lot's wife. When, if you read it in Yasha, I did a video on it on TikTok the other day. How Lot's wife looked back because some of her daughters didn't come with them when they were leaving. She looked back not because she was just missing the land of Sodom and Gomorrah. She looked back because of her compassion for who she was leaving behind. That's why she looked back. That's what they didn't want us to know. So they take these things out of scriptures. Don't, and I'm asking to remove my emotions. I don't want to look back. I don't want to get stuck because I'm sad because my best friend didn't make it, my sister didn't make it, my mama, auntie, grandma, husband, whoever didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what this is right here. All right. So if he did not spare the natural branches, he might not spare you either. 22. See then the kindness and sharpness of Elohim on those who fail sharpness, but toward you kindness. If you continue in kindness, otherwise you also shall be cut off. And if they do not continue in unbelief, shall be grafted in. For Elohim is able to graft them in again. So even if you fall away, they fall away, they can come back. Long as he looks at the heart posture. For if you were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these who are the natural be grafted into their own olive tree? Okay. For I do not want you to be ignorant of this secret, brothers, lest you should be wise in your own estimation, that hardening in part has come over Yasharal until the completeness of the Gentiles has come in. And so Yasharal shall be saved, going into 26. And so all Yasharal, Gentiles and bloodline Yasharal, okay, the remnant of both, because there's a remnant of both. So all Yasharal shall be saved, as it has been written. The deliverer shall come out of Zion, and he shall turn away wickedness from Jacob, and this is my covenant with them when I take away their sins. Okay. Yasharal is both the 12 tribes and the Gentiles as they cleave into us, they cleave onto us. Okay. Again, I'm not saying this does not change the servitude. It does not. The Gentiles will still have to come in. They still have to know their rightful places. And those who are cleaving in, they do know, they understand that, they accept that. That's the difference between the ones who fake it and shaking it, because they really don't want to bow down and be servants to us. But they will. They are going to be. They're still going to serve, but they're coming in the kingdom too. There's still recompense that has to be made. That has to be had. They still have judgments they have to face, but that remnant is also coming as well. Okay. So all bloodline Yasharal will not be saved. All right, so we're gonna jump to the second half of this. All right, the second half of this jumps to Ezekiel 20, because that's the other chapter that a lot of people I'm going too fast, that a lot of people get mixed up and confused, because again, going on in their own estimation, being wise in your own estimation, you have to let the Most High Yah teach you. This is his word. We can't just sit here and put what we want in it. Like, absolutely not. We have to let him break this stuff down to us, and him say what his word means. All right, so I am not going to read all of chapter 20. This is definitely something that you can do on your own. But as you read through chapter 20 in the preceding verses, Yah is telling Ezekiel to speak to Yasharal. In this, he's explaining how and why he handled our forefathers the way he did in the wilderness before. Okay, there's 3 specific times, right? And each time he says, I acted for my name's sake, not to profane it before the Gentiles, before whose eyes I brought them out, right? He says it in verses 9 and 10. He says, but I acted for my name's sake, that it should not be profaned before the eyes of the nations among whom they were, before whose eyes I had made myself known to them, to bring them out of the land of Mizraim. So I took them out of the land of Mizraim and brought them into the wilderness. All right. Then it says it again in verses 14 and 15. But because each time he's talking about what they did they were forsaking, bowing down to the idols, and doing abominations and whatnot. Okay. And then, they coming out, they weren't they were rejecting his laws, not greatly profaning the Shabbats, and all this. So 14 and 15, he says, I acted for my name's sake, not to profane it before the nations, before whose eyes I had brought them out. And I myself also lifted my hand in an oath to them in the wilderness, not to bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, the splendor of all lands. And then he says it again in verse 22. Again, after they rebelled again. They were very rebellious, but I held back my hand and acted for my name's sake, not to profane it before the eyes of the nations, before whose eyes I had brought them out. Okay, 3 times he explains this, right? So when he goes down into what the kids fussing about around there, where does he say that? All right, so verses 35, and I shall bring you into the wilderness of the peoples, and shall enter into judgment with you face to face there, as I entered into judgment with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Mizraim, so I shall enter into judgment with you, declares the Master YAHUAH. We take this and we say, oh, well, he's gonna do the same thing, because he entered into judgment with them in the wilderness, he's gonna do the same thing with us. No, we have to look at all of his verses. Okay, remember, this is his story. He wrote this story, okay, not us. So we first look at this first part here. And I shall bring you into the wilderness of the peoples. That is the first difference there. All these other times, he either will say the wilderness of Mizraim or just wilderness. He is specifically telling us the wilderness of the peoples, and shall enter into judgment with you face to face. Yeah, girl. Into face to face there, right? Okay. So, all right, so first of all, the judgment that the Most High YAH is highlighting here, oh, I'm sorry, it's the judgment that the Most High. Did you eat my chocolate? That baby done opened my chocolate, and I was waiting to eat that little piece of white chocolate with the caramel in it. I can't believe you back there. She just chilling, eating my chocolate, y'all. All right. So the judgment is what he's highlighting here, okay? The judgment was death, okay? So remember, he killed the generation of disobedient ones the first time around. You know, the earth swallowed some of them up, old age got to some of them, but that's why he allowed the 40 years for them to wander so that he can get rid of that disobedient and rebellious generation, okay? So let's pause here for one quick second because we gotta again use the scriptures. We gotta use all the scriptures so that we understand, right? So we're gonna put a pin in Ezekiel 20. We're gonna jump to Jeremiah 31. Jeremiah 31 and 2. All right, so thus say Yahuwah, a people escaped from the sword, found favor in the wilderness, Yasharal, when it went to find rest. He's letting us know here. First of all, sword, we know sword is judgment, right? All right. We know sword means judgment because if we jump to, I'm not going to go to it up here. I'm going to just read it. Y'all can write it down and go to it real quick. Jeremiah 25 and 31. Tumult shall come to the ends of the earth, for Yahuwah has a controversy with the nations. He shall enter into judgment with all flesh. He didn't say something. Matter of fact, let me jump to that because y'all got to see that. He shall enter. What's up, What's up, Zay? I know she ate my chocolate. I'm mad at her now. Jeremiah 25 and 31. 25 and 30. Oh man, I'm scrolling too fast. All right, it says, tumult shall come to the ends of the earth, for Yahuwah has a controversy with the nations. He shall enter into judgment with all flesh. He didn't say just some flesh, into judgment with all flesh. The wrong he shall give to the sword. So the wrong, yes, there are wrong ones in the midst of Yasharal, y'all. All right, so that's the 2/3. The wrong he shall give to all, the wrong he shall give to the sword, declares Yahuwah. Thank you. All right. And then I'm gonna give one more witness. Revelation 19 and 15. All right. And out of his mouth goes a sharp sword or sword. I say sword. I'm gonna say sword. That with it he should smite the nations, and he shall shepherd them with the rod of iron, and he treads the winepress and the fierceness of the wrath of El Shaddai. All right. So goes out of the sword. The sword, when he gonna smite the nation, he killing them. Okay, sword is judgment, right? All right, so let's go back to Jeremiah. All right. So again, a people escaped from the sword, found favor in the wilderness. So not the 2/3 who going through judgment, okay? They're not escaping and they're not going to find favor. He's not going to favor the disobedient and the rebellious. Come on, people, he's not doing that. All right. So the 1/3, yeah, we're going to find favor in the wilderness when we go to find rest. Where is our rest? That's in Revelation chapter 12. Let's go jump over there real quick. Well, first, hold on. Let me see, because I don't want to skip ahead because he be giving me these notes. Let me see. Some versions say survive. Okay, wait, this is me. Some versions will say survive. So when it says escape the sword, some say survive the sword. Some say saved from the sword. All right, so the escaped survivor saved. However, you will find rest in the wilderness. These are the end times. He's not taking you to be nourished and then purging also. All right, so let's go to Revelation 12 now. All right, so these are end times. He is not, like I said earlier, he ain't about to nourish us just to turn around and take us. I'm not about to take you to nourish you just to turn around and purge you. So Revelation 12 and 6. And the woman represents Yasharal, right? or the escape ones of Yasharal. So the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by Elohim to be nourished there 1,260 days. Jump down to 14. He says it again. And the woman was given two wings of a great eagle to fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the presence of the serpent. So we know that's 3.5 years and 1,260 days. That's also 3.5 years, right? So again, he's not going to take us into the wilderness to be nourished, just to turn around and be purging. I know I keep talking about Sister Bubbles, but I don't watch a lot of people's videos, because the Most High YAH talks to me a lot. Like, he really breaks a lot down to me in his word. And so I don't watch a lot of people's videos, because I don't want to get their the things that they're saying misconstrued with what Yah is telling me. Because Yah is my teacher, y'all. When he said that the Ruach is the teacher of all things, I'm telling you, he sits down and he really be teaching, okay? So, but I do like to watch Sister Bubbles, because a lot of the same things that he'll reveal to me, it'll be confirmed because he said it to her, and I'm like, oh shoot, okay. So it's like that witness, right? But in one of her videos, she breaks down, things about the wilderness. It's our nourishment. We are going, like she said, we're gonna be messed up in the head. We're going to get to them healing waters, okay? He's going to heal us physically. He's healing us emotionally. He's healing us mentally. A lot of us gonna be jacked up in the head with the stuff that we're about to see. We're gonna see so much death, y'all. We're gonna see things that we never thought we would ever see in our life. Things that we saw in movies on the Avengers and X-Men and stuff. We are about to see a lot. Do you really think the Most High now? And the scripture even said we're gonna be leaving crying and trembling. You think the Most High YAH is going to take everybody go into the wilderness? We already jacked up and halfway needing to be in a straight jacket, and you think he gonna turn around and say, oh well, let me just mess y'all up one last time and stop purging it? No, he gonna do all of that then, right now, while we going through it now, do these judgments and everything now before the Exodus. He's going to do that before the Exodus, so that when we get into the wilderness, he can heal us, okay? And it's so much. Let me keep going before I say some of this other stuff, okay? So let me go to another witness. Go to Amos. Let's go to Amos. Where's Amos? Amos, here you go. All right, so let's go to Amos 9. Amos 9. All right, Amos 9. I'm gonna start at verse 8. All right, so look, the eyes of the Master Yahuwah are on the sinful reign, and I shall destroy it from the face of the earth, except that I do not completely destroy the house of Jacob. He ain't gonna completely destroy. That means he's leaving a remnant, right? Okay. Declares Yahuwah. For look, I am commanding, and I shall sift. Let me make sure this one say the same thing. I am commanding. Yeah. And I shall sift the house of Yasharal among all the Gentiles, as one sifts with a sieve, yet not a grain falls to the ground. All the sinners of my people are going to die by the sword. I'm going to read that again. All the sinners of my people are going to die by the sword. Those who are saying evil does not overtake us nor meet us. In that day, well, I'll just kick it. This just kind of confirms what I just read to y'all about the Gentiles keeping Yasharal. In that day, I shall raise up the booth of David, which has fallen down, and I shall repair its breaches and raise up its ruins. And I shall build it as in the days of old, so that they possess the remnant of Edom, I'm sorry, so that they possess the remnant of Edom and all the nations on whom my name is called. You caught that? And all the nations on whom my name is called. Again, so that's the witness. Also, another witness to Yasharal is bloodline Yasharal, the 1/3, as well as the remnant of the Gentile nations who call on his name. Declares Yahuwah who does this. Okay, so I'm gonna go back up again. Go back up to verse 9. So again, so he says, for look, I am commanding, and I shall sift the house of Yasharal among all the nations. Okay, all the sinners of my people are going to die by the sword. So he is doing, he even says that he's doing a new thing this time. So before, when he handled us privately in the wilderness, no, he, because he done gave us time and time and time and time again to get it right. Ain't no more of that. It's end times, it's the end. He is not doing it. All the sin of his people, he ain't playing around. And even with sifting out, when he just talked about the sifting and the sieve and the grain that falls to the ground, that's the wheat and the tares. Yet again, y'all, he gave me a message. If you can go back and watch it, it's I forgot what I titled it, wheat, tares, and the rebels, I think. He gave me a message then talking about how, his wheat, his good and chosen ones, are going to be nourished. The tares he ain't taking. The rebels may have a chance at redemption. He's not taking it. Let me keep going. All right. So among all the Gentiles, so among all the nations, so that's the Gentiles. Okay, that's the Gentile nations. Um, so the wilderness of the peoples. Okay, so we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back to, where was we at? Ezekiel. Yes. Thank you. Going back to Ezekiel 20. So among all the Gentiles, that's among the nations of Gentiles. All right. So all right, where we at? So, all right, being that I've been on this for a minute, he gave me, like I said, this stuff to give y'all for a minute ago. I don't know. Sometimes I just kind of be sitting on some things, and I gotta stop doing that because that's me operating in disobedience, and I ain't trying to get in trouble with Abiyah, right? Well, she do be whooping me, but all right. So the wilderness of the peoples, which is mentioned again in 35. Let me jump down. I shall bring you into the wilderness of the peoples. This is not mentioned anywhere else in the scriptures. I have searched, I have searched, I have searched. If you can find it, please let me know. I will gladly, look at it and take it to y'all. But I've asked him to show it to me. I've asked him that it is nowhere else, okay? Because this is so, what are y'all doing? Thank you. This is very broad, but it's very specific. Because like I just told y'all, everywhere else he says, into the wilderness, or he'll say specifically the wilderness of Mizraim. He'll give a specific location. In this case, he's saying the wilderness of the peoples, among the Gentiles, among the nations. Because remember, we are scattered across the four corners of the earth. It is not like the first Exodus. Okay, we are all over the earth. All right. So one thing I suggest you do when you reading your word and whatnot, look up the meaning of these words. Don't just assume, oh, I know what peoples are. Look it up. When like I always tell our group members and even people that we just meet, when we're out witnessing, the Old Testament, look it up in Hebrew. Look up the meanings in Hebrew. We use strong right here. So the New Testament, you can do Greek. You could do some of it in Hebrew too, but a lot of it we do in the Greek for the New Testament. Because that's how it was translated. What you got? Thank you. You're welcome. All right. Um, so peoples. It should come up strong 59. Okay, this is the one that he told me to use when I was studying it out. So 5971. The I guess is how you pronounce it. There's multiple meanings you can see here. It's multiple meanings. Specifically, he told me to use where it says nation and tribe, which I'm looking too fast, so I can't find it. Did I pass it by already? Inhabitants of a city. So a people, a nation. There's another one somewhere that says tribe. You can look, but so with that being said, stop biting, Lena. So with that being said, when he says, I shall bring you out from the peoples and gather you out of the lands where you were scattered. That's 34. Wait, let me go down. Sorry. 35. When he says, and I will bring you into the wilderness of the peoples, I'm bringing you into the wilderness of the nations, of the Gentile nations that you are in. That's what he's saying here, people. He's not literally saying, I'm going to bring y'all into the wilderness, then I'm going to purge. He's not saying that. like I said, take it to him in prayer. Don't sit here arguing with me, because I'm not arguing. I don't argue his word. I know what the Most High YAH has showed me. I know what he has told me, and I know I'm not the only one he has showed and told this to. All right, so take it to him in prayer and ask for his understanding, and he will give it to you. All right, we're gonna keep going. So where it says and enter into judgment with you face to face there, as I enter into judgment with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Mizraim, that's Egypt. So I shall enter into judgment with you, declares the Master Yah. So again, he's not saying as I enter into judgment with your fathers in the land of Mizraim, so shall I enter into judgment with you in the wilderness of the land of Mizraim. No, he's saying I'm gonna enter into judgment with you. You about to catch your sword, because he's sick of it. He's not. Let's keep going. And I shall make you pass under the rod, and shall bring you into the bond of the covenant. So let's break this down. So a rod is typically, let's break down pass under the rod first. A rod, did she open that gum? Give it to me. Give it to me. Excuse me, y'all. Hold on. I'm sorry. No, ma'am. Okay. So we're going to break down what pass under the rod is. So a rod, that's used by shepherds, right? Okay, first of all, remember, the Most High YAH speaks in parables, right? Okay, so we have to look at what he's telling us. He speaks in code. He don't speak clearly, as some people think. He just telling us flat out. No, because he does. It's the honor of a king to hide a manor. It's the honor of, how does he say it? It's the honor of the theme to hide a matter, then to search out a matter. I can't think of how he says it exactly, but put it back in my purse. He wants us to seek him and to search, and it comes to him to know what he's saying. He's not going to flat out tell us everything and say X, Y, and Z. Yes, I'm going to bring 500 cruise ships to America to pick all my children up. He said he's sending the ships of Tarshish in Isaiah 69. So you got to look at the parables, all right, that of what he's saying, to ask him to lead you. So this is what he told me to read to y'all, because the rod is carried by shepherds. It's to keep the flock in line, right? It's to provide correction. It's to be kept under the authority of the shepherd. So as I was looking for like an article, I came across a whole lot. This one he told me to read, so I'm gonna read it to y'all. So it says, notice that the sheep pass under the rod. Besides being an instrument, put it down. Besides being an instrument of both offense and defense, the rod was in effect. I hope this is not too small. Girl. The rod was, in effect, a 2-foot club. It also functioned as a tool under which the sheep passed. What does this picture? First of all, it pictures counting. The shepherd would count the sheep in his flock to make sure that all were present and accounted for. It pictures something else too. As the sheep passed under the rod, a symbol of the word of Elohim, they would undergo a close scrutiny. The shepherd would run his rod backward or across the grain, as it were, of the wool. The rod separated the wool, allowing the shepherd to look down onto the sheep's skin. He was then able to see both the quality of the skin and of the wool. He's going to be looking at our hearts. He's scrutinizing us. This is a part of his judgment, looking to see, who is this really mine? Is Sister Chantel, my daughter Chantel's heart for me? It's like my mom used to like to use fruit. It's Brother Apple. It's his heart for me. Watermelon is her heart for me, right? So Elohim is illustrating that by means of his rod, he is giving us careful, close scrutiny for 2 reasons. One, it gives him the opportunity to evaluate the quality of his sheep. 2, it provides a means of separation. This is him separating the sheep from the goats in Matthew 25. Quality and separation are the 2 reasons for his scrutiny of us. Recall, hallelujah. Recall Matthew 25 and the separation of the sheep and the goats. The rod aids in identifying or making sure of possession. Sheep's ears were often bored through, or distinctively notched as a mark of identification. Like he said, in Ezekiel 9, when he sent the messengers with the writer's inkhorn, and to mark our head. Oh, best believe we marked, baby. We marked, okay? read that sometimes, since the shepherds could not always see the identifying mark due to several flocks being mixed together in the pasture, they would make their sheep pass under the rod. It's not that he don't know, he can't see the identifying mark. He can see that, but we going through the judgment, baby. We going, he passing us up under this rod. So when they did, the shepherd would flip back the air to see the mark of possession. Again, he gonna see whose is you. Like Sister Bubba said, you that 2/3, you Hasatan, so that's Hasatan's number, that 0.666. Or you the 1/3, that 0.333, that's him. Okay. So again, it also gave them a chance to evaluate and determine the relative health and quality of their sheep. We are all under the rod right now. Now is the time of our judgment, and we are under evaluation to determine to whom we really belong. Who is our shepherd? Elohim Hasatan. The rod is vitally important. It's a vitally important instrument for a shepherd. No good shepherd would be without one. All right. So you told me to read that to y'all. Let's go back. So that's what being passed under the rod is. He looking to see who is mine. If you ain't his, matter of fact, let me jump real quick to Matthew. Go to Matthew 25. So let me read that to y'all. Where is this at? This is the wrong version. That's why. All right, Matthew 25. And take this back to TS 2009. All right, so Matthew 25, 32 and 33. And the nations shall be gathered. The nations, all people, y'all. The nations shall be gathered before him, and he shall separate them one from another, as the shepherd separates his sheep from the goats. He ain't taking all, he's separating them. It don't say when we get into we're gonna all leave and get into the wilderness, and then I'm gonna separate. He said, and all the nations shall be gathered before him, and he's gonna separate, y'all. It's not, and he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. Okay, let's go back. So we understand what being passed on the rod is. Let me see. He's judging us to see who is worthy. Oh, yes. Remember, I forgot he said that. Remember, narrow is the gate and only a few find it. He gives us all these breadcrumbs, y'all. We cannot just sit here and look at just one thing. We gotta use all the scriptures to define what he is saying. Let him lead you to all his scriptures, as he did with me. It ain't no just I popcorn this. He led me to each and every one of these. All right, Matthew 7-13. Enter in through the narrow gate, because the gate is wide and the way is broad that leads to destruction. And there are many who enter in through it, because the gate is narrow and the way is hard pressed, which leads to life. And there are a few who find it. Everybody, okay. I sound like a broken record. All right, so we understand the parable. We understand this. All right, so he's gonna be looking past our outer parts. He ain't looking at the skin color. He ain't looking at the nation. He ain't looking to say, okay, well, this is she from the tribe of Judah. This is the tribe of Levi. He ain't looking at it. He's looking at your heart. He's looking to see who is his. Okay. All right, so now where we at? 37. All right, and bring you into the bond of the covenant. All right, so what is covenant? I know, Aya, hush. She got to announce every little thing. I don't want everybody else might call me. So he's bringing us into the bond of the covenant. So if you want to go look up the definition I'm going to use, is strong number 1285, Berith, I think how you say it. So a covenant is an alliance of marriage. That is the bond of the covenant. Okay, so we knows what it means to be bound to something, to bind to someone, to stick to cling to cling to it, to bind to it, right? But now we have to understand the bond of the covenant, which is an alliance to marriage. Leave it alone. All right, so we're gonna jump back over to Matthew. What? Leave her alone, please. I'm recording the video. I'm not gonna tell you again. You understand? All right. So Matthew 25, 1-12. Matthew chapter 25, 1-12. Then the rain. Yeah, huh? Take it from me for a minute. I'm almost done. I'll be back. I'll be back, but I'll get her in just a second. All right. Then the reign of the heavens shall be compared to 10 maidens who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure. Sometimes I be having those things in my Okay. Went out to meet the bridegroom, and 5 of them were wise and 5 foolish. Those who were foolish, having taken their lamps, took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their containers with their lamps. Now, while the bridegroom took time, they all slumbered and slept. Ain't nothing wrong with sleeping. Ain't nothing wrong with that because they all slept or whatever. What's wrong is when you ain't prepared and you don't have all your oil and whatnot. And at midnight, a cry was heard. See, the bridegroom is coming. Go out to meet him. Then all those maidens rose up and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, give us of your oil because our lamps are going out. All right, y'all. These kids keep coming. Hasatan don't want me to finish. Don't want me to finish. All right. So, and the foolish said to the wise, give us of your oil because our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, no, indeed, there would not be enough for us and you. Instead, go to those who sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding feast, and the door was shut. And later, the other maidens also came, saying, Master, Master, open up for us. But he answered, saying, truly I say to you, I do not know you. There's an amplified version that says, I do not. Let me read it. Hold on. It's an older one, but this one it says pretty much the same thing. This is the Everyday Life Amplified. It says, where is it? Okay, he says, I assure you and most solemnly say to you, I do not know you. We have no relationship. Do you really think he gonna turn around and save 2/3 who don't have no relationship with him? Okay, let's keep going. Got another witness to that because he don't want to know you at this point. So we're gonna jump down over to Luke. Okay, y'all. So Luke chapter 14. Let's drop down to the 15th verse. All right. So, and when one of those who sat at the table with him heard this, he said, blessed is he who eats bread in the reign of Elohim. And he said to him, a certain man gave a great supper and invited many. And he sent his servant at supper time to say to those who were invited, come, for all is now ready. But one by one, they all began making excuses. The first said to him, I have bought a field and I need to go and see it. I ask you to have me excused. Another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen and I am going to try them out. I ask you to have me excused. Another said, I have married a wife, and because of this, I am unable to come. And the servant came and reported this to the master. Then the master of the house, being wroth, said to his servant, hurry out into the streets and lanes of the city and bring in here the poor and crippled and lame and blind. And the servant said, master, it is done as you commanded, and there is still room. He wanted a full room. He didn't want no spots. He wanted full room. He wanted no openings. No empty seats. And the master said to the servant, go into the street corners and hedges and compel them to come in, that my house is filled. For I say to you that none of those men who were invited shall taste my supper. Okay? None of those. And let me back it up. Where it says, go into the street corners and hedges and compel them to come in. He's talking about the Gentiles there, because before he was making the marriage supper for the Israelites. But guess what? We want to send him. We out here doing what we want to do. We're doing everything else but following the laws and the commandments and following after the Most High YAH. Doing everything but serving other things, doing everything but having all these excuses as to why we can't read our Bible, why we can't pray, why we can't fellowship with the Most High YAH, why we can't fast, why we can't seek his face, doing everything but coming to him, right? So he goes out to the Gentiles. Okay, bring them in so my house to be filled. So the same way it's gonna be a remnant of us, it's a remnant of them. He ain't taking all. I say to you that none of those men who were invited shall taste my supper. He don't want them. Okay? He don't. All right. So now he done gave you a chance. He not doing that again. All right. So now let's go back to Ezekiel. So all right, so that's the bond of the covenant and everything. He gonna pass it in and bring us into the marriage, an alliance of marriage, pass you under the rod. Okay, so then he said, and purge the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me. From the land where they sojourn, I bring them out, but they shall not come into the land of Yasharal, and and you shall know that I am Yahuwah. Okay. So when I was going through this again, because I'm like, it takes me a minute when I actually want to do a video because I I think a lot faster than what I talk. So I'll be having to write it down so I don't go too far ahead of myself and don't say, something that's, not in the right place or whatever. So as I was writing it down, he kept bringing to me, oh, they're coming out all right. Oh, they're coming out all right. And I'm like, you sure you want me to say it? And he kept saying, oh, they're coming out all right. So he said, oh, they're coming out all right from the lands where they're coming out the lands where they sojourn all right, just not the way they think or have been told. Okay, that's what y'all said to me. So the judgment that you receive, just remember that it's only 2/3. I mean, only 1/3 is going to make it. Only 1/3 is going to pass through this judgment. 2/3 are not. All right. So let's go back to the top because here's what he said. Um, so rightly divide the word of truth, and that's something that a lot of us fall in error with. We do not rightly divide his word. We have to, again, let him teach you, let him tell you. Don't go just because you read every page of this book, you think you know it all. Let the Most High YAH lead you and teach you and tell you how to divide his word up. Okay, how to read his word. So this is how he told me to read it to y'all so that y'all will understand. He said, go back up to, okay. So go back up, start at verse 33, where it says, all right, sorry, y'all. So here we go again. So he said to break it down, y'all, like this. Verse 33 and 34. As I live, declares the Master Yahuwah, do not I, with a mighty hand, with an outstretched arm, and with wrath poured out, reign over you? And I shall bring you out from the peoples and gather you out of the lands where you are scattered with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm and with wrath poured out. Okay. That is the first part. He said he is telling us, he's telling the 1/3 what is going to happen. Okay, how he's going to pull us out. He's saying, "Don't I reign over you? Ain't I'm your master? Ain't I'm the King of Kings? Aren't I'm your Elohim? Don't I protect you? Don't I save you? Don't ain't it's gonna be me that's gonna gather you? Okay, I'm gonna do that." So then when we going down to 34 to 38, um then he's breaking it down. He's like, all right, but before I, on in the midst of me gathering you out, before I actually pull you into the land, this is how you're gonna see my wrath. This is what's gonna happen. I'm telling you, this is what's gonna happen. All right. So then he said to read it like this. So now we know what he's gonna do, but this is what he's going to do in the midst of what he's going to do. Okay, this is how he's going to do it. I'm sorry. So we in 33 and 34, this is what he's going to do. 35 through 38 is telling how he's going to do it. Okay. So now, and I shall bring you into the wilderness of the peoples, of the lands where you are scattered, of the Gentile nations where you are scattered. And I will enter into judgment with you face to face there. As I entered into judgment with your fathers in the wilderness of Mizraim, I got rid of that rebellious generation. So I shall enter into judgment with you, declares the Master Yahuwah. I'm gonna get rid of the rebellious ones out of you too. I shall make you pass under the rod, and I shall bring you into the bond of the covenant. So I'm gonna pass all y'all through the rod, but only my 1/3, my chosen sheep, not them goats. My chosen sheep is gonna make it into the bond of my covenant. It's gonna go into the alliance of marriage with me. Okay, I'm gonna purge out and purge the rebels from among you and those who transgress against me. From the land where they sojourn, I bring them out, but they shall not come into the land of Yasharal, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah. So I'm gonna bring them out, all right, but it ain't gonna be the way they thinking because they coming out, but it's coming out in judgment. And what is judgment? Judgment is death. So I stand firm on what the Most High YAH has told me, what he has showed me, he has consistently told me that everybody ain't coming. He has consistently said only my 1/3, only my chosen ones are going to make it. He has consistently told several other brothers and sisters and prophets. And let me make one thing clear, because I get a lot of people who like to comment, and I just delete them because I ain't got time. Will say, oh, everybody wants to have a title. Everybody thinks they're prophet. I ain't never proclaimed myself to be no prophet. I ain't never gave myself no title. The only thing I am a daughter of the Most High YAH. I love my Father with everything in me, and I will drop anything and anyone to please my Father. Okay. I ain't nothing. But what he did say, I ain't, like my sister like to say, I ain't but a filthy rag. What he did say was, in the end times, in the last days, he's pouring out his flesh on all people. So if he want to use me to get a message out, then y'all please use me. I will humbly allow you to use me. Do what you please. Say, I will say what you want me to say. I don't care the cost. I don't care who don't like it, who it makes uncomfortable. I will do what you tell me to do. Okay, so I want to make that one thing clear. But he has told other brothers and sisters, other prophets, the same thing. Everybody is not going. There's been several people who have had dreams of some people I know personally. Even there's one well, I don't want to put her out there. But there's several people who have had dreams of us getting to them ships and people getting turned around. Why you think people getting turned around if everybody going? Because they're not his. He's not taking them. Just driving the other day, my sister told me I could share it. I did ask for her permission. She said, she was driving in the Most High YAH. She does have that gift. The Most High, she's a seer, what they would call a seer in the Old Testament. So he shows her a lot, and she saw us going to ports and stuff, and angels, tall angels, she said, were there. They would bow down and say, "Who do you serve? Who is your master?" And some people would say Yahuwah, Yahusha, and they would come in. And others, it's like they couldn't even bring the name to their forefront because they don't serve him. They don't serve him. So that's again another indicator, right? Okay, here's another one. He had, since we learned, we came to his truth last year this time, but we didn't know, we knew it was no rapture. We just didn't understand what was going to happen. We didn't know about the Exodus. We didn't learn of the Exodus until like the middle of June. So since we learned about this Exodus, he has constantly been showing me. I keep seeing this. It's like we're on the ships, and it's like these men, and which I know they're angels, but they have these clipboards, like these thick clipboards, paper just thick, and it's like it's listed down, and it's a thick paper, and it's just like names. It's like a manifest, and it's almost like looking to see who is in it, like whose name is coming up. I'll call her back. And like whose name is there, like you're not on this list, you can't get on. So like I said, I know this is gonna ruffle some feathers. I understand that, and I understand because it's a lot when you are learning something, and or when you've been on something for so long and he takes it away and he's like, "No, this ain't right, baby. Let me tell you what it is," because he don't want us to be ignorant. And please don't reject his word. Like I said, you don't have to take my word for it in this moment. I understand. Play it back, go sit down, take these notes down, take it back to the Most High YAH and be like, "Y'all, Sister Chantel said that you said this, and she showed me in the word, but I need to know for sure this is what you're saying. Can you confirm it to me?" And I promise you he would do it. I promise you he would do it when you come into him humbly and sincerely because you really want to know his truth. All right. I think I already mentioned this. I'm trying to make sure I go through all of these notes. The first Exodus, he had 40 years to purge. It was 40 years that our forefathers, they were able to test him and try him and hurt him and disobey him. It hurts the Most High YAH when we disobey him, when we reject him. You don't think he wasn't hurt, by our forefathers? But he not doing it this time around. We get 3.5 years to heal, like I just explained, to heal mentally, physically, and emotionally. Which I know it may not take the full 3.5 years, because with the Most High YAH, he can remove everything in a day. Some people say they feel like he gonna do a memory wipe. I don't know. He didn't tell me that. But during that time when we get to them, I was gonna say I do feel like it'll instantly happen when we get to the healing water. So I ain't lying, I really do. But 3.5 years is all we have. We have to truly learn the ways of Yah. This is why we are being nourished. Oh my goodness. And he gave me a dream a year ago. I should probably share. I shared it with a few people, but I need to probably share it online. But we have 3.5 years to truly learn the ways of him. He said he's gonna write it on our hearts, because so that we ain't even gonna want to transgress against him again, right? We're gonna truly learn the covenant, the new covenant. Because remember, he's doing a new thing. He's giving us a new covenant because they transgressed the old covenant so much. He's doing away with that one. We're getting a whole new covenant, right? His laws. We're also, because this is the wilderness is where we're going to be nourished and hidden and protected and learning, during the second half of the tribulation. So during them 3.5 years, while the rest of the world is going through it, right? And then after that, when Yahusha comes and he defeats Hasatan and everything, or he locks him up for the 1,000 years, we in a new kingdom, honey. Don't you think we're gonna have positions and different things? We got to learn our places and our positions in the new kingdom. And some people already know. He done showed me. I'm so excited. He done showed me so many things about the new kingdom. I'm just so excited. We have to learn these things. We are not going to be playing. We done had our time to get it right. So we're not going to be playing with him, and he's not going to take us. He's not taking everybody and purging us in. This is a testimony we're going to have. This stuff is going to be written down in books to come for our children, because we're going to be repopulating the earth. So our children, we're going to be telling them. It said we're not going to make mention of the first Exodus with Moses no more. We're going to be telling them the things that happened. Who knows? You might be we might have to run through some fire or something, and here you got brother Grape, who thinking he all good, and he do this at the third and think he gonna make it. You run right through the fire and he don't make it. He's going to purge them. I don't know why. He must have just had me to say that, because I ain't had it on my mind. So y'all, I'm telling you, okay, this is I'm gonna leave with this. This is the one last example he gave. So you wouldn't want your significant other, somebody that you would call your significant other, abusing you, who's cheating on you, who's always lying to you, who's only calling you when they need something. They just treat you awful. You wouldn't want them to continue to do that. And then let's just say you decide you're gonna finally move on, and you done find someone else who truly wants to marry you, who loves you, who's pursuing a relationship with you, who talks to you sweetly and gently, who treats you right, make sure you got everything you need, someone who really just loves you. You ain't gonna allow that old significant other to try to come back and pursue you, because now you done moved on, or now the door is closing, right? What you gonna do? Most of y'all said you gonna close that door, block and delete them, right? I said, oh yeah. Oh, you be so cruel sometimes, so harsh. You just be right straightforward with it. But so, and it's the same thing with him. He not gonna allow the 2/3 who keep rejecting him and who keep treating him any type of way, and not acknowledge. He is not doing that. I stand firm on Zechariah. Is it Zechariah 8? I believe it's Zechariah 8. When he said 2/3 gonna die, I read it to y'all elsewhere, as in here as well. Let me make sure, because I like to make sure I quote it right. I think it's Zechariah 8, right? He says, curse among them. Where that, y'all? I don't forgot where it is. I can't remember. I think it's Zechariah. Let me see. 2/3. That's my thing. Sometimes I be forgetting what the scripture said. I know it's in there. I just can't always remember the exact verse. Oh, Zechariah 13. I had it backwards. I'm looking up 8 and 13. It's 13 and 8. All right. So when he said, and it shall be throughout all the soil, declares Yahuwah, that 2/3 therein are cut off and die, and 1/3 is left therein. And I shall bring the third into the fire, and refine them as silver is refined, and try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I shall answer them. I shall say, this is my people, while they say, Yahuwah is my Elohim. And one last thing, I don't comment trying to say, oh, well, there's grace and there's mercy. Yeah, we got grace and mercy now, but that grace and mercy about to run out, because we done had it. We done ran out. We done use so much grace and mercy. We don't even deserve no more grace and mercy. Thank y'all that we still getting the grace and mercy, but that's about to run on out when he passes us under the rod, and when he's bringing us in the bond of the covenant and all this other stuff. So I love y'all much. Again, if you don't agree, if you don't understand, definitely pray, take it to the Most High YAH. I truly hope that this does help y'all to remove that thought process. Because again, this didn't come from me, this come from y'all. I used to believe the same way a lot of y'all did. I promise you I did. And the Most High YAH was like, no, baby, that ain't it. Let me tell you what I mean in my scriptures, what I'm going to do. Okay. So yeah, hopefully this helps. So love y'all much. Be blessed. We don't have but a few short weeks left, y'all. We out of here next month. So get it right, stand tall, stay strong, stay in his words, continue to follow his commandments. And I love y'all. All right. Bye. Shalom. Oh, I didn't end it.